Where do Mr. and Mrs. DiCarlo live? They live in an old Italian neighborhood in New York City. Where does Joe live? He lives in a small suburb outside the city. How much English do Mr. and Mrs. DiCarlo speak? They speak a little English. How much Italian does Joe speak? He speaks very little Italian. What do Mr. and Mrs. DiCarlo read? They read the Italian newspaper. What does Joe read? He reads American newspapers. What do Mr. and Mrs. DiCarlo listen to? They listen to Italian radio programs. What does Joe listen to? He listens to American radio programs. Where do Mr. and Mrs. DiCarlo shop? They shop at the Italian grocery store around the corner from their apartment building. Where does Joe shop? He shops at big suburban supermarkets and shopping malls. What do you do every day? I read Korean newspapers, I listen to Korean radio programs, and I eat Korean foods. Who do you visit? I visit my friends. What do you talk about? I talk about my husband and children. What does he do every day? He reads Korean newspapers. He listens to Korean radio programs. And he eats Korean foods. Who does he visit? He visits his parents. What does he talk about? He talks about his family. What does she do every day? She reads Italian newspapers. She listens to Italian radio programs. And she eats Italian foods. Who does she visit? She visits her neighbors. What does she talk about? She talks about her husband and children.